I'm trying to find things that everyone knows, and then they're like, yeah, that's a hit product. When in reality, 21 years for them to really find the thing that was a hit. This is going to be a serious episode. Welcome to another serious episode of No Followers Podcast. I'm your host, T.
Wow.
I was going to introduce you.
I'm your host,
Please
T.
be serious.
I'm not going to be. The seriousness lasts about 30 seconds between us.
Bob,
and you literally cut me out as the co-host.
Enough. That's enough.
You are.
You
did research for 3 seconds before this episode.
I did at least 5 to 6 minutes of research.
Okay, I can't wait. And now you're going to spring it on me again. You know people did not like the mystery episode.
People loved the mystery
By
episode.
all the DMs you got?
Yeah.
Okay.
First of all, this is a different episode. This isn't a mystery episode. It's an instant traction myth episode where we, your hosts, T and Serious Bob, walk you through a product to dispel the myth of products have instant traction.
Because
not
we got
the
DMs
wonderful.
that say instant traction happens.
Yeah, instant traction
Explain
doesn't
why we're
happen.
doing it.
That's what I'm saying. I already explained it.
I don't think you did. I'm confused.
And I'm serious. No. All right. So I have a product that I've done research on. That's me doing research.
You Googled it. That's what you mean, right?
Yeah, but I clicked on a bunch of links.
Oh, okay. All right.
That you have no idea what the product is.
I probably don't.
But you'll probably guess this one pretty quickly.
Okay. Can we let the crew guess too? Because
Yeah.
they're very smart.
They can guess.
Okay.
Okay. Hans Wilsdorf. Wilsdorf. Anyways, and his brother-in-law, Alfred Davis, founded Wilsdorf and Davis Limited. You want to guess the year? That's not right, Bob. It's 1905. You want to guess where they
go to the 80s.
You were way off.
Jersey.
You want to get New Jersey or Old Jersey?
New Jersey.
That got something, right? Be serious. In London, England.
I was so close. There is a Jersey in England.
That was Old Jersey, isn't it?
I was so
Hello?
close. Could have flipped.
Now we're in London, England.
But you got the guy's last name wrong, so now I don't really, I can't
didn't
put
get
it
it
in my
wrong.
brain. You did.
You don't even know what it is. How do you know it's wrong? I'm looking at the computer. Stick with
And
me,
it
Bob.
tells you how to pronounce it?
Well, if you go by the traditional German pronunciation, the W is pronounced as a V. Okay, so it'd be Wilsdorf. But he's in London, and so it's probably pronounced Wilsdorf.
Okay.
Or Wilsdorf.
Okay, 1905, London.
1905, London.
I'll put myself there.
Okay.
Time travel.
They assembled and marketed. You want to guess what it is?
You haven't said anything yet.
That's wrong. They assembled and marketed watches using components imported from Switzerland.
I knew that one.
All right, you're 1 for 30.
All right.
All right.
Good average.
1905, Bob. Fashion at the time. You know what they were running these days?
Yeah. Pocket watches.
Bingo. 2 for 31. They're running pocket watches, but not.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, I just gave you credit. Not Hans and Alfred.
No, they wanted wrist.
Wristwatches. Bingo. So you know what they did? They imported parts. They assembled
Put a
them.
strap on it.
They put a strap on it. They called it. And they were up and running. All right. So Wilsdorf bet on as it was called at the time, the wristlet watch,
Yeah,
which was
very cool.
Now it was viewed as effeminate. They weren't really precise. They were wildly imprecise compared to pocket watches, and it wasn't really what the trend was.
Did they import the wrong parts from Switzerland?
No, it just wasn't like it wasn't there yet. The market wasn't there yet for wristwatches, and so therefore,
No, because they're not calling it a wristwatch.
yeah, it's called a wristlet watch. And
It's for like little kids.
yeah, it was garbage watches.
But they improved, I imagine.
Well, stay tuned. Please
It's a long
don't
history.
jump ahead.
Okay. I'm on fire. I got like 3 in a row going.
Yeah, you got 30 wrong before that, though. All right.
That's
Can
the
I
essence
please
of
tell
being an
you
entrepreneur,
about
though.
Hans?
Isn't that an entrepreneurial journey? Wrong, right. There we
Bingo.
go. There we
I'm
go.
so glad you said that.
Okay.
Because Hans here, he was like, wristlet watches are going to be the future. And everyone else was like,
And Davies,
Davish,
Alfred,
Davis.
Didn't think so.
No, they were together.
Oh, okay.
They both thought is good in the wristwatch. Yeah, is good. They thought is good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
Bad branding now with the wristlet thing. Okay.
yeah, but they
I
stayed.
think I know who this is already.
Do you want to guess?
Nope, not yet.
All right.
I'm going to let the...
Yeah. So they stayed the course. They assembled their wristwatches.
That didn't work, right?
And they were working, but they were really focused on getting like precise movements and components from Switzerland. And they were the first kind of wristwatch to do that. And so their watches were getting better and better. Early watches were marked with a W and D inside the case, but they were mainly sold to other jewelers who would ultimately put their own name on the watches. So you'd go to your local jeweler, they would have a W&D watch, and then they'd put their name on it and set it up for you.
White label.
Yeah. So that was, kind of 1905 to 1908-ish. And that's when everything changed. When old Hansi trademarked the brand name. It was a name that he wanted to be pronounceable in any language. Short enough to fit on a watch face, and something that would be recognizable
Nailed it.
around the world. Okay, who do you think it is, Bob?
Rolex.
It is in fact Rolex.
Damn,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay.
4 for 40 or 36 or whatever.
But we're talking 1908,
Pre-World War One.
pre-World War One. A lot of stuff has to happen. So the whole thing here is what really brought Rolex to who Rolex is today. Because you say Rolex now, and what do you think of?
I don't have one.
Bob, I don't have one either.
You have the fake one though. That
It's
you
not.
got for $5
I'll be honest. It's
on
not
the streets
even.
of the city.
It's not even my favorite watch timepiece brand. But they.
What is?
You don't want to know.
No, I just asked the question.
Oh, so you do want to know?
I do.
Oh, you're back to being serious, Bob. I have a couple. I like.
Just pick one as your favorite. You can't have a couple favorites. Do you have a couple wives? No, you have to have one.
First of all, you don't know what my home life is.
I do, because we're going to talk about the chip cabinet.
The chip debacle. So I'm a Breitling fan. I've had some Cartier items
Now you're
in
just
my
big time in me.
Which are nice. But I do like a Rolex. I like a Grand Seiko. They're nice watches. It's
You
just
don't like the Walmart?
no. In any event, may I get back to my story?
I thought we were over.
No.
We guessed
We
it.
haven't even gotten to what made them successful. My
Oh, I'm
question to
sorry.
you was, nowadays, when you think of Rolex, what do you
Yes,
think of?
high end.
Yeah, high end.
Actually, investments.
Yeah, they are a precision watch
If I
company.
had a 1905, that would be worth something.
Yeah, you should check your case to see if it says W&D inside of it. That'd probably be worth a
Is it
boatload.
WND or WND?
W ampersand D.
Thank you.
All right, so 1908, they trademarked the name. 1910, it was the first wristwatch to be awarded like an independently certified certificate of performance. So that was a big kind of feather in their cap.
That's a validation piece we talk about.
Yes, but still, like they're selling, but they're not. You don't have to have a Rolex, and they were pretty good with the branding, and they would put it on. They were actually founded with a emphasis on performance. The idea being their watches were up for whatever adventure you could throw at it.
That was their UVP.
Yes.
Unique value proposition.
So 1914, they were awarded, I'm going to read this one right off here, a Class A precision certificate by the Kew Observatory, Kew. It was the first time a wristwatch was given this distinction in England.
What did they give it to before?
Pocket watches, I assume.
Okay. You didn't click that link?
Nah, I didn't click that.
Okay. Just ask.
But it kind of set them up for being like a respected brand for performance. So it had this kind of performance aspect. So 1919, wartime taxes on silver and gold. They relocate to Switzerland, which actually allowed old Hansi to work more closely with suppliers and really because everything was kind of like contract manufacturing at this point, which is kind of everything we talk about, right? So
What was their price point?
I don't know.
In England?
I couldn't find what their actual prices were
Okay.
at the time.
They weren't a high end. luxury good yet.
They weren't a luxury good, but
they were in the upper scale.
Yeah, they were focused on performance for sure. All right, so 1926.
It's a good year.
Was a game changer for them. Okay, so remember, they started in 1905, so 21 years.
And they moved countries.
So they were in revenue, but they weren't, kind of who they are. So 21 years for them to really get on the trajectory that would roll them into being
nice
Rolex.
Play on words.
Do you know what happened in 1926 for them? Let me tell you.
An emperor wanted a watch.
No. No, but good guess. That was when they released the Rolex Oyster case, which was the world's first waterproof watch. And that was what really became their first UVP, was that they had a dustproof, waterproof, hermetically sealed case. That is when you saw the iconic fluted bezel that was around it.
Yeah, you speak in foreign languages.
Yeah, so it has a very distinctive bezel. It's something that when we make our ashtrays, it has a fluted bottom as kind of a nod to them. But their fluted bezel, and this is something we talk about with customers when we do design stuff, it did two things at once. One, it was a distinctive design, but two, it was how they threaded the cases together, and so they made a special tool that went in and grabbed the fluted bezel, and that was how it actually gripped it to lock everything together. So it did two things at once there, which is a pretty cool design feature.
Are all your mystery products things you like?
I'm trying to find things that everyone knows, and then they're like, yeah, that's a hit product. When in reality, 21 years for them to really find the thing that was a hit. So
my questions are, how did they get to that point? Because that's a lot of iteration.
Well, so
right?
that's what kind of the point of me giving that timeline is. Think about if they said, we want to make the world's first dust-proof sealed case.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
1905.
1905. What are you going to do? You're going to raise money. You got to figure out where the market is. Instead, what they did was they said, okay, first we're going to contract manufacture watches, and we're going to bring in parts from Switzerland. That let them know kind of how they were making watches and all this kind of this, that, and the other thing. And that's everything we talk about with customers, right? Find the minimally viable thing to be able to sell, to be able to bring dollars in, so that's the best. I mean, we always say the best way to raise money is to sell product. If they waited until they had their hermetically sealed case, it may not have ever happened. So that's kind of like the big takeaway with this instant traction.
But also
story.
Let's deconstruct that, because we've talked on other ones. What do you do when you have an idea, and what do you do next, right? Their first premise as a value prop was, I want performance. So they went to subcontracting, because Switzerland's always been known for quality engineering, right? Especially in timepieces.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, that's part of, they had this idea, and then they did their research, and they're like, okay, we can't build it ourselves. We're not going to move to Switzerland yet, because we live in England. We're going to get the parts, though, and assemble them here.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of how to get started, right?
100%. And then the other thing I love about that is they said, instead of us establishing all of our own distribution channels, we're going to go to people already selling jewelry. They went to jewelers, they sold their watches, and that was how right? So they don't necessarily have the brand recognition immediately, but they have revenue.
Well, they also have distribution channels,
and they're in the distribution
priceless to any company.
Right. So, and that's what we talk about frequently. It's not that
we have a lot of conversations.
Yeah, maybe too many. But I'm
feeling that.
If we decide to start making shoes and Nike steals our idea, it's not that, oh, well, Nike's Nike. Well, it's that Nike can take even if it's a horrible product, they can take it and push it out to hundreds of stores immediately and get it in front of people. Distribution and packaging are the two things that I think people overlook the most when starting.
Well, we talk a lot about that when our incubator members get to commercialization.
Yeah.
Like, here's things we have to start thinking about.
All right. So
what else you got from Rolex?
So they didn't stop. So 1931, first self-winding wristwatch with the Rolex Oyster Perpetual.
How'd they wind it before?
You would turn the
Oh, self-winding. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
So it
when
was
you
an
speak.
automatic, which is still used today, the automatic movement.
Yes, I know that.
1945, they were the first watch to have an automated date. 1950, they got the patent for what they called the Cyclops, which is the little date magnifier bubble, so that it magnifies the date when you look at the watch.
What happened during the war? Did they do anything special? You just skipped over World War II.
Nah, I kind of skipped over because it was just kind of
They're in
status quo.
Switzerland, right in the middle of the whole.
Yeah, I mean I didn't really.
Okay.
They just kind of. I mean, their
Our
watches.
research is so vastly different.
No, their watches were already known for what they were doing by then. A lot of what they did was. A lot of their marketing was pushed into the adventurer, outdoors, people swimming across the English Channel, performance-oriented kind of stuff.
When they get to luxury. Am I asking too many questions?
No, I mean, it's a good question. And the question...
Because I wouldn't think of Rolex as performance watch anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to swim, I'm not going to wear a Rolex.
Yeah, well, I mean... Even if you look now, a lot of their marketing is performance, right? They're the official timekeeper at Wimbledon, right? You got the big Rolex on the back wall. It's still what a lot of their marketing is around. Wimbledon? Do I? You think I'm watching tennis? Absolutely not. Like watching.
You're making us watch that movie you're watching before that.
City Slickers? It's a great movie. I don't want to get into it with you.
Let's not talk about that.
I think that the price point is part of what drove them into luxury, but I think it's also because of as much of the innovation as they had. They were able to kind of set their price when you have that innovation.
This was a good episode that you came up with finally.
Yeah. You know, they were
always stick to the 5 to 7 minute research thing for you.
I mean, how much? Well, one of the problems with Rolex is that it's hard. I tried finding out like when they actually became profitable.
It's private, isn't it?
Well, it's not just that it's private. It's that they are owned by after Hansi died.
I don't think he liked the name Hansi.
Oh, he would hate the name Hansi, but I'm going to call him that anyways.
Right.
The company rolled into a trust that was owned by a nonprofit, technically.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's kind of like a tax situation, but it also precludes them from having to answer to like a board. So a lot of the innovation that they were able to do,
they protected,
is because they don't have to really answer the same way a for-profit company answers to their board and their advisors and all this kind of stuff.
See, now you spurred my interest.
Yeah, it's really an interesting way to set it up. Producing about 1 million watches a year, about $13+ billion in revenue. But again, to get there, they had to start with get to the market, understand the distribution channels, get to revenue, understand the need we're fulfilling, innovate, iterate, and keep moving forward.
They didn't validate our get a paying customer thing.
Yeah.
No matter how you get it.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
So Rolex, not an instant traction story.
But they should be a sponsor.
Sure.
Just saying.
You can feel free to send me a
I would
lunch.
like to go to Switzerland.
I'd love to go to Switzerland. I like to go.
I wasn't bringing you. I'm going to do my own podcast from Switzerland. I'll zoom you in. How's that?
See you later, I guess. Serious.
All right,
Bob.
you can come along. We'll bring the crew.
No, I don't want to go now.
I want chocolate.
Nah. You go in the winter. I'll go in the summer. Ne'er the two shall meet, you know? See ya. Anyways, I'm T.
Hostile.
This is Serious Bob, and we'll see you next time.
Follow us, sponsors, all that good stuff, please.